Grew up in Illinois, right? Watched Illinois basketball growing up. Saw a lot of great games, a lot of great players, and to see what Brad and Sean have done in this arena, and to see the success of their programs. Obviously, here to celebrate a men's basketball game tonight. Has done some pretty cool things. I called Brad on Monday. I was in some Big Ten meetings, and as a head coach of football, I know what I sound like when I'm proud of my team and like what they play and how they play, and you can hear that come through Brad. And he sees Shauna, and Shauna, I give a honk every day when I drive by the neighborhood, like what she's been able to accomplish and do. I know that they have a big push on Sunday to pack the place, and joined in that cause. My wife and I are donating some tickets to that as well. So I won't be here. I'll actually be in Tampa for the weekend with my girls, but coming back on Sunday, hopefully in time for the game, but the Super Bowl. But just wanted to say that to Brad and Shauna, and just an awesome thing. Today, signing day, added 3 more guys to the program. I'm super excited about. Purposely kept some back in this world that we've been created in roster size and new numbers and everything. Although the numbers have gone down in the overall roster, the ability and the opportunities to bring guys into the program is awesome. So a couple weeks ago, added Leslie Mosley, a guy from Cardinal Newman. I know it sounds like a joke, right? My buddy Jack Daniels is the head coach there, and I use that several times, right? But Jack has been talking about Leslie for a long time. A really, really good, exciting athlete that is super explosive. Sent Barry and Step down there in January, and got a chance to meet and sit with him. And just a really good young man. It's from the Lake Okeechobee area that drives into Cardinal Newman. Glade Central is where he possibly could have went to school when I was a young coach. Glade Central had more NFL players than any other high school in college football, and now he's, I think, I always say this, some of the best recruiters everybody thinks are in college football, they're in high school football. And Jack got him to come there, and he's just been an awesome player for him. So super excited to get Leslie. He'll join us this summer and play some receiver for us. Also an exciting punt returner, also play some defense. I think we'll start him on the offense side of the ball, see where that goes. Next guy was Caden Considine from Byron, Illinois here. Kind of fun story, right? Obviously, lots been written and said about his dad and I crossed paths at the University of Iowa. Both started as walk-ons there. Was able to share his journey as a coach and appreciate what it did, but then saw him become an NFL player to the highest level. Then when Caden's name came up, of course, I knew that name 2 or 3 years ago when it first popped up, but then this year to see him win a state championship, just absolutely awesome to see. I'm a big believer in DNA and what that means, and Caden took over a state championship game. Came full circle the other day after Caden announced. Bobby Busboom reached out to me, and her dad was the head coach at St. Joe, who lost to Caden's dad, Sean, in a state championship game on Memorial Stadium, St. Joe versus Byron. That his dad rushed for a bunch of yards in that game and won a state championship, and now to see Caden come that. We're actually going to start him on the defense side of the ball. Just a super athletic kid with great football IQ, awareness, and understanding. So excited to get him in the program. And then Jacob Harvey from over here in Mount Zion. Coach Atherton has been bragging about him for years going in there. And, I talked to several coaches that played against Mount Zion this year and referenced that was the best player they faced all year. And just a lot of really, really good upside, a wide receiver. He also plays some defense, but we had a couple opportunities left here towards the signing day, so called and offered him an opportunity last night, and of course he took it, came full circle today. So really excited to bring those guys in the program where they are and where they're going to go this weekend with the Super Bowl. It was fun to watch the playoff games 2 weeks ago. Secretly, I was cheering for Denver because if Denver got in, there was more of my former players there, and would have happened there. But obviously excited to see the two teams match up with the Patriots and the Seahawks. Devin, obviously Witherspoon is a captain. I think it's pretty interesting. I don't know if the team captain has been named for the Patriots yet, but Bret told me that Hunter Henry was one of the 5 standing captains all year for the Patriots. That's 2 of my former players, both captains on opposite side of the ball in the Super Bowl. So got, I think, 6 former players in the Super Bowl during my career, 3 of them here from the Illini with Tommy and Vidarian. So just really excited for those guys. Also, Kay Rich is an assistant coach who played for me at Arkansas, was a coach here at Illinois for me twice. So really, really excited for this weekend to see that play out. Another topic, obviously, a lot of coaching openings. Thad Ward, I don't know if I talked to you since that time, just super appreciative of Thad and what he did. He was on the original list when I got here. Just things weren't well-timed at that manner, and then I retained Corey Patterson, which obviously in the running back room, when that opened up, I went after that, and he did a lot of really good things for us over the last several years here. I knew as soon as Coach Klein got the job at K-State, those guys are extremely close. I knew this was going to be something that popped up on our radar. I appreciate the professional manner. Colin called me right away, reached out to me. They had a conversation, and then we just kind of waited till after the bowl game. I kind of had a feeling that was coming, and it came thereafter. So super appreciative of Thad for what he did for us, for me personally. Gave us a lot of stability in a room that needed it, and super excited about that. And then obviously the next guy to transition was Robbie Disher. Robbie, of course, did a lot of great things for us as well. When I hired Robbie, it was kind of a unique time in college football. They had not approved the ability to have coaches off the field, coach on the field. So I needed a dual role there. Robbie was both tight ends and special teams and did an outstanding job for us. Very, very appreciative of the time he gave us. Came in and gave us, again, some stability. I'd had a couple different years of special teams unrest and tight ends. This year, during the course of the year, I knew at the end of the year I was going to split that role and put it into tight ends and special teams, and informed Robbie of that. And of course, and he was, in a manner that he wanted to keep both roles. So when the special teams opportunity came at Ohio State, Ryan Day called me and had a great conversation with Ryan and said all the things that Robbie had been able to accomplish for us, and that transitioned, and appreciate Robbie and his time for us. And what he did, been a great guy, great addition to our family, and wish him the best in every game but one next year. So that'll be interesting. And then, of course, Aaron Henry, a lot of you guys know how much Aaron's meant to me in my lifetime, both as a player. He's been with me at 3 different universities, has meant the world to me, and what he's been able to accomplish, to see his growth as a football coach, but also now as a father, 2 beautiful girls at home and a husband. Was at his wedding. A lot of great things. Really, right after the bowl game, there was a couple things came across my desk. One particular NFL opportunity that we talked about. He had an opportunity there, interviewed there. Obviously, didn't get that. But then, Chris Ash reached out to me at Notre Dame. Chris Ash was my former former DB coach, who I promoted to coordinator. Won a couple big titles with him. Aaron was a player at that time. When I went to Arkansas, Chris came with me. Was my defense coordinator there my first year. Then he transitioned to Ohio State, became the head coach of Rutgers, and then he hired Aaron at Rutgers, and they were together there previously. Chris was in the NFL a little bit, came back, and recently Chris has hired Charlie Partridge, who was also my assistant head coach at Arkansas. So there's a little gathering over there. I think Andy Boo's in that mix as well. So I had that feeling when I saw that job was open. I know that one of my other former players had popped up in that world. Aaron called. We had a conversation. This is something that he was interested in pursuing. I talked to Josh, and we waived a pretty significant part of his buyout to let that opportunity happen for him, something that I know he'll take full advantage of. Super excited for him in particular to see his career continue to grow and move forward. So those are all openings. I would say that, this week right now, I'm concentrating strictly on offensive coaches. I've had 3 coaches in this week already, got another one coming in tomorrow. I expect the offensive side probably to be done by this weekend. It may not get announced till next week, but I have a pretty good idea where I'm going with those and what I've done. I know what I'm doing in the special teams world, and that's already set and in play. That'll play out here as we announce it going forward. And then in the defense side of the ball, I informed my staff, told our players I'm making a transition from this current system that we're currently in. I know the direction I'm going to go as a head coach. I can't announce it until after the Super Bowl, but the intention of what I have in mind and where I'm going will play out next week, and we'll get an opportunity to do something I think is very exciting for our program and where we want to go. So really excited about that opportunity, and with that, just want to shout out to also Roger Denny, a guy that has meant a lot to me in our program. So he called me. I got word that he's interested in Oklahoma, and Roger has been the world. He replaced Warren Hood, who was a huge part of my opportunity here at Illinois. So Warren left and then ushered in Roger, became my direct football rep. Didn't know him. He made a huge input in our program. So although I don't like to see good friends go, him, Aaron, Dish, and Thad, those are we talk about family all the time in our room. So excited for those guys and their opportunity, but they'll bring in something unique and different to the places they're going that hopefully they took from here and make them a little better, except for the games we're head-to-head. So with that, I think I'll open up for questions. Sorry, I held it together till the end.
Bret, can I get one quick one and follow up? You said, I know you don't want to announce it yet, but is this a structural change to how you run defense, or is it scheme change?
I would say it's a little combo of both. In describing it to our players, when we play a three down front with 5 DBs, we have a certain word for that in our program. It'll be structurally very similar to that, but I would say it's a definite scheme change. It will be different, probably than anything you've seen here at Illinois, and really unique to our it's a scheme and a package that I've been intrigued with, especially in the NFL, and seeing things play out, and we'll see where it goes from there.
And what traits are most important for you for a new voice to run your defense?
Well, that's a very important part, right? So I know I'm a defensive coach that's a head coach, but I've really, my entire career, this goes back to my, when I went to Wisconsin, I went as a defense coordinator. They had a defense that was ranked in the high 80s, early 90s, something like 98th or 97th, and took over, and we became the number 1 defense in college football next year. And then that next year, when I knew I was going to be the head coach, nobody else did until that second year. I was able to, do well on defense, but I knew I was going to be the head coach. So I had a lot of other things. So I was actually a head coach that was going to run defense. And I remember talking to Coach Alvarez after the transition, and he just said, "Hey, how do you think we did this year defensively?" I'm like, "Well, I wish we were better, but I had a lot of things going on." He goes, "Exactly. Right? You can't be the head coach and call it, right?" And in my opinion, so I've been a CEO of as a head coach my entire career, and I really want to turn this over to somebody that I can just literally kind of do exactly what I've been doing offensively and at times defensively, just let that person run it. And I thought a way to do that would be go away from a scheme that I've really been familiar with, I've been intrigued with, but I've never ran it, right? So I'll be learning it with this crew, and really excited where it can go.
Coach, a lot of turnover on the defensive front during the transfer portal window. Can you just comment on, the guys that you lost going out and then the group coming in? And were there any surprises for you as far as what the market was like there and what it would take to get some impact players?
I'll address the first question. Was I surprised about transition out? No. Was I? I don't think market had anything to do with it. I knew at that time where I was going defensively. So maybe some of the people that we've recruited in the past that you view as departures won't fit what we're doing forward, right? So I think that's a really big thing to understand. Like, it's becoming news to you, but it's not news to me, I guess would be the way to say it. I think that defensive lineman overall is a premium. James Thompson last year, I knew the system we were running and what we were going to run. So when he got in the portal, we paid him as high as any defensive line we've ever paid, right? And paid off well for us. I thought to see him in the East-West game has been absolutely awesome. But structurally, what we do at the defensive end and interior nose tackle position is going to change greatly. And because of that, I knew the value of the guys in the old system wouldn't fit the value of the guys in the new system, if that's a good way to say it.
I guess, Bret, if you knew you wanted to make a scheme change, were you seeking a new voice to lead your defense?
No, I felt I could make that, manipulate it, and make it what it needs to be. But obviously then, just the way it plays out, I'm super excited because I think it's just going to give everybody a reset. I really have, in my years of coaching, have kind of understood that, like, after 4 or 5 years of same things, there's always an opportunity to change in advance. And I think a classic example was last year. Obviously I had a huge change offensively after the first year. Barry had been with us, 3 years, and to bring in a couple guys offensively last year. I think Mike New brought a lot of great things for Barry, and there was some changes, the way we huddled, the way we play with tempo, and defensively we really kind of ran the same package for about 5 years. And in our league now, Missouri runs almost Purdue almost runs the exact same package. Wisconsin had run variations of it. Minnesota had run variations. Indiana ran the same front, a lot of the same principles. So there had been and Ohio State came in. So like I'm comparing against all these other teams, and I'm seeing the same things we see. And I think one of the uniquenesses to Illinois and the way we've been able, especially when our defense became a really dominant defense, we were just so different than anybody else in this league. And now in the league we're in, there were several plays or several schemes and the game plans that would probably carry over a lot to every week, and that's probably one of the biggest reasons for change.
Bret, are you still monitoring the NFL world on guys that could be possibly going into that world on your staff, or do you feel like you've got the core of what you're going to have for 2026 in that regard?
Staff?
From staff standpoint.
We're not even starting.
Okay. And then you've had in-house promotions before, and specifically I'm thinking about like Chris Hurd, because you have a special teams. Is that an option going forward?
Yeah, very interested. Chris and I have had conversations. We haven't got the final logistics, but feel very confident that Chris will be our guy going forward. I'm talking to a couple other people as the combo platter with him. But that will be one side of the ball where we'll carry a lot of what we've done forward, just hopefully improve on what we've done.
Coach, is it easier to hire now than when you first got here? Bringing in
Oh
people?
yeah, like I kind of knew some things were happening, transitioning, but I after the news of Robbie broke, like my phone just, it was during the prime time last week of recruiting, and I'm like, oh, okay, hallelujah, right? Like, and a lot of people are reaching out to you, but I kind of carry a list of 3 to 4 guys at every position on my staff. I kind of know where I'm going to go. Now I have sometimes variations off of that, but then. That's special teams coordinator, right? But I knew that was happening because it just wasn't going to go the way we, as in a split role. So defensively, I was hoping to control that until after the weekend on Monday or so. And once that news broke, a lot of times agents break these news, right? Like they're involved, or people that are moving want to promote or sell their side of the story. So I think there's a lot that went into that timing, but I also know that. I probably, by no exaggeration, I've had 50 people reach out for the defensive coordinator job, and I think even when I came here, there was 50 people that reached out, but there were 50 different people than the ones that we got now.
Brett, can you kind of just expand on your excitement for the Super Bowl and just kind of whether you have any superstitions when you watch your former players play, or just sort of how the game makes you feel every year when Super Bowl Sunday rolls around?
It's a great question, and obviously, I'd spent a couple years, but I remember when I was a young assistant coach to have a former player, and I remember that feeling that day that I had coached or I'd been with. I think the first time that really kind of felt cool, Dallas Clark was a linebacker that played for me at Iowa, and I suggested we move him to tight end, and then he ended up playing in a couple Super Bowls, and then, had players that I had coached with, right? But then when you become a head coach, and I distinctly remember a day, I got a call from USA Today, and they said, Coach, you have more players playing in the Super Bowl. I believe it was when the Patriots were playing the Seahawks, whatever that first year was. And they said, you have more players than any coach in college football. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Well, the next year, I got the same phone call, right? And the Patriots had a bunch of my players, so whenever they were in it, I got a good chance. And then I took a year break, and then they called me back again, and I had the most. And then this year, like I said, I think I'm at 5 or 6. Probably haven't looked at that because of my Arkansas Wisco guys. You get excited for those guys because now the difference for me now is now I'm watching guys that I know I was there, right? I was at the Super Bowl in Atlanta. We won the game. I remember getting a ring. I remember my wife was pregnant, so she went to bed right after the game. Our transportation, if you want a visual, Jen's pregnant. I'm on my heavier side at the time, and there's like a bus that's going to take like 3 hours to get there, and there's this little guy on a bike, and it's one of those bike stroller carrier things, and I had a $100 bill in my pocket, just burning a hole in my pocket, and I'm like, hey, would you be interested in giving us a little transportation? It was about a 5-minute ride, and he goes, yeah, and I was just talking about my wife. I was going to wait for the bus, and he's like, I can take you, and I'm like, me and her? And he's like, yeah, and we hopped on a bike, and I think he was doing pretty good till that last stretch was up the hill, my wife and I rode back to the hotel in a bike carriage ride, which was absolutely awesome. She retired, but my father-in-law, God bless him, he's in heaven now, but he and I got to watch the Super Bowl entertainment in the hotel after the game. Snoop Dogg was there. Pretty cool memory, and that just always kind of burns in my mind, and now those guys get to live it, and so it's a pretty cool moment.
But I have 2 separate ones if
Yep.
I could. One, when the defensive coordinator, are you looking for someone with prior play calling experience? And then 2, are you looking to add another defensive lineman at any point, or are you settled with where you're at?
Defense coordinator, I think the play caller is good. Play caller is obviously, something I wouldn't turn this over to something I didn't know that someone that didn't know it well. And then add defensive lineman. I do have a couple of scholarships banked that allow me to play this thing out. We have a lot of guys that we've talked to that not just defensive linemen. We got offensive linemen. We got other people that are under waivers. I'm sure you read today about one that got granted in Nashville, right? Or I should say, in Tennessee. They're in Knoxville, I guess. So it's just a crazy time in college football right now. I told a couple of my buddies I went to college with, they ought to research their opportunity to come back and play. It pays a lot better now than it was back in 1992. I think there's an opportunity of that there. Really, I think it'll make a lot more sense to you guys next week when you see what we're doing, like what we'll be looking for.
Brett, Pat Ryan, what's his impact on this in-state. You guys always seem to add some in-staters late in the process that he seems to keep an eye on for you. Like, what's been his impact?
Yeah, I
on
call
all
it the
that?
Pat Ryan Scholarship Award at the end here. He's just got so many connections, right? He just got he sees he lives in. Our first one was Matt Bailey. The next one was Matt Crusadis. The next one was Tanner Heckel, who was 8-man football in Kansas. So it's not just in-state. And then obviously last year, Jack Paris, right? And Jack literally is going to be a really good player for us. So he's batted a pretty good percentage. This year we went to the double dip with Constantine and obviously Mount Zion. So I think the big thing. One of the things that everybody just thinks is that he's been a huge factor here in Illinois, but I will offer a kid that's from Connecticut, New Jersey, Florida, and I'll say, hey, Pat, you got to know the coach, right? Because Pat Ryan, he calls you better just have an extra half hour to talk, right? So I think that's a really good part of him and his detail. He knows how much it means to us, and especially for Pat and his family. It's been a rough month. He's had a lot of things around him that I've admired the professionalism and the way he's kind of handled it. So. But also just Pat Embleton has been an awesome. We kind of really made a huge transition this year in recruiting, where it was much more recruiting staff driven on recruits and possibilities. Pat Embleton's been in my ear since November about a couple of these guys. So I just didn't know how it was going to play out. The portal took an effect. I believe that we could lose up to 30 guys in the portal, right? I was planning on that or gauging that, and that's kind of about where we landed, right? So. I knew that was going to give us X number of opportunities in addition to the ones we were planning on leaving from the senior year. So, the guys that got in the portal, there was probably just 2 guys that jumped out to me. That when they left, I was like, okay, I didn't see that one coming. One on offense, one on defense, but really that's about it.
What differences did you see with just the single transfer portal window this time around, and how did you maybe change what you do because of that?
Well, I didn't change, but before it happened, that's why I made the change. I knew we were gonna. I was planning on playing in postseason, right? And because of that, I told my coaches all year long, which I've never done in college football. I've done it to a certain degree, but I gave them the direction: you're here to win football games right now, right? From the time we reported in fall camp to the time we played Tennessee, I wanted them concentrating on nothing but football. So I didn't set aside recruiting hours during the course of the week. We didn't have 2 hours of phone calls on Tuesday nights and Wednesday nights. We let the recruiting staff handle it. I took my 10 countable coaches. I took 3 on offense, 3 on defense, but the other 4 coaches or the other 4 personnel on the field were from my personnel department. And that's a dramatic shift. I actually increased on Wednesday nights as soon as I got done with my radio show. Then we would watch film for 2 or 3 hours every Wednesday, and a lot of times I watched during the day on Tuesdays and Thursdays and always on Sundays. So I was much more involved in evaluation. And then the part that's a little bit different now, the portal didn't open until January 1st, but there were a lot of people that we knew were going in that portal. So you took what a lot of people would call pre-portal, or people that you were aware that they were probably getting in the portal. In the Ivy League, for instance, we took, I'm sure a lot of you remember Jack Wadowiak, right? Jack was a guy that was in the Ivy from Chicago who exhausted his eligibility in the Ivy. So we literally had a list of probably damn near 75 to 100 players in the Ivy that we knew before the season started they were not going to be able to have another year. And so that's just another good example. I went and watched 2 Ivy League football teams play live, right? I can't even imagine as a head coach. I even had an ESPN guy walk up to me and he goes, "Coach, can I ask you what the hell you're doing here?" Right? And I said, "I got permission." I had to call the Big Ten office. We were the first to ever do that in college football that I'm aware of, right? So there's all kinds of little opportunities that are out there that if you just stay a little bit ahead, I think you can gain yourself a lot of advantage.
Coach, the calendar just came out for the 2026 bowl lineup, college football playoffs, and all that. What's your thoughts on how that all kind of lines up?
Well, the part that I always say is just tell me the rules and I'll play by it. I knew we were going to play a 12-game schedule. I was super psyched to see our bye week right in the middle of it, right? So I'm kind of pumped the way our schedule lays out as far as the postseason, what you do in those 12 games mandates that, right? I do think we're in a time in college football where it's unprecedented how every year is just you have no idea what's going to happen. Obviously, with the SEC going to 9 games, with the conversation of 16 to 24. I'm in the Big Ten Conference. Tony Petitti's pushing to 24, so I'm pushing to 24. I know if there had been a 24 the last 2 years, the Fighting Illini I'd probably be in it, right? And I remember reading an article when I was out of college football, when I was in the NFL, when there used to be just a certain number of BCS teams, right? But then when they went to 4 playoff teams, right? I think during my 7 years as head coach at Wisconsin, we would have been in the playoffs at least 3, probably 4, and possibly 5 times during that window, and that was exciting to think about what that could get to, right? And now, obviously, 12, we've been knocking on the door and have a game or two each year that we just kind of don't finish or get through with, and that's a huge point of emphasis. But postseason play is awesome. I thought we've done 2 back-to-back years of beating 2 SEC teams that no one else thought we could do, and that joy and that feeling of walking off that field in Nashville last year, walking off the field in Orlando, that doesn't just evaporate over the next week. It carries through the whole year, and there's great momentum in that for us in recruiting. I just got off basically the last 2 weeks of being on the road every day, and the way that we're recognized now around the country. You know, I was in all the way from New Jersey down to Florida, all the way to California and everywhere in between, and the recognition that this program has now nationally, not just from the prospects, but when you're in schools, when you're in hotels. Got a great story. I can't wait to see Sigs because there's 4 of my coaches. We had gotten into Houston. We're checking in a hotel, and there's a lady. She's got on a Indiana hat, right? And we're kind of checking in, and we're just coming out of a school, and we're all decked out in Illini gear. And she's kind of a little bit. I think she'd been in the bar a little bit. But we get on the elevator, and 4 of my coaches with me walk on, and it's just her. We kind of hold the door for her. She's looking around. She says, "The Illini." And my coach, I'm on the highest floor, so I'm on the damn elevator with her, right? And my coaches walk off, and she's like, "Basketball?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't." But I couldn't resist. I said, "We're with football." I go, you in Indiana?" She said, "Oh, yeah. Class of, 79 or whatever it was." She's very proud. And I go, "Yeah." She looks at me, and she goes, "You're Bielema." I said, "Yeah." She goes, "That wasn't a good day for you, was it?" I said, "Oh, jeez." So I don't mind getting a little heat, but I don't need it on an elevator at 9 o'clock at night in Houston from an Indiana fan. So congrats to them, obviously, what they've done for our conference, both Indiana and obviously a year ago Ohio State, and the year before that Michigan, 3 years. And the way this conference has been built, I give Tony Petitti incredible amount of credit for what he's done to build the brand recognition, and not just for the national chance, but for all of us. And it's been a really, really fun ride. And I think college football is at a place that we've never seen before, and it's super exciting to be here. So with that, let's go watch some basketball. IOL.